You seem uncomfortable. Do I make you nervous, Corky?
No.
Thirsty, maybe.
Curious, maybe.
That's funny. I'm feeling a little bit curious myself.
The genitals are the gateway to hell. The vagina, the uterus, the womb, the labyrinth that leads to podcasts, the devil's tools. Welcome to Pleasers
And Punishers.
where we talk about movies that people love to watch,
Movies that ruin your today, tomorrow, and yesterday.
and all things kinky and queer.
I'm Caitlin of the North.
And I'm May, the Devil's Door Schultz.
And today we're discussing how many accidents have you had that involve mutilated bodies in The Other Hell 1981, written and directed by Bruno Mattei and Claudio Fragasso. Claudio Fragasso.
Excellent. Sounds like a fancy wine label.
Right?
Oh, what are you drinking? Oh, this is a Claudio Fragasso.
Fragasso. It's very lovely to say when you say it correctly. Also, very important to this movie, it has music by Goblin, though it was stolen from other scores and albums that they had previously released, which we will definitely get to.
Excellent. Okay, my opening question. If you had psychic abilities, how would you use them? And we're going with loose psychic abilities. You know, it could be any kind of thing that you can do with your mind.
Okay, so we're also talking like telekinesis type stuff, or, you know, part of me would be like, I'd like to use my powers for good, but there's another part of me that's like, but revenge. There's always vengeance there.
I like that.
On the table. So, you know, I think I can right some injustices with some vengeance.
I like that. I would probably use, I mean, I guess it depends on how much energy I would have to exert to utilize them. Because I was going to say, I would use them to do chores so that I don't actually have to physically do the chores. But if I'm expending the same amount or more of mental and emotional energy to get those things done, I might as well just do the physical actions, because then at least I'm getting the tiniest bit of exercise that I don't do at all.
It's kind of like when like life hacks got really big and they drove me personally nuts, because I'm looking at this life hack where I'm going, that is harder than just doing it.
Yeah.
Why are we adding unnecessary steps than just doing the thing which we know works?
Yeah.
I think maybe one I found that had included macaroni and cheese out of a box and how to make it correctly. I was like, you are the one life hack in huge quotations, where I just felt it was either you're just telling me how to do the thing, or I'm making more energy to do this thing that I already know how to do.
Also, the correct way to make mac and cheese is to leave the pasta out of the pot, leave the heat on very low, melt the butter, add the milk, stir in the cheese powder, and then add the pasta back. Because otherwise, you end up with undissolved clumps of the cheese powder. And it might taste good, but then you don't get even coverage of the pasta. And my autism does not like that.
I just stopped putting milk in and just used butter.
Oh,
which
interesting.
also works.
Well, okay, I'm going to try that. That sounds delicious. I also like buying the slightly bigger boxes that come with the Velveeta type pouches. My local grocery store that I go to, well, I guess it's not local, it's a chain, but they have their own brand of those, and one of them is like a smoked Gouda and white cheddar, and it is fucking delicious.
And you know what's great about macaroni? It comes from Italy, like this movie.
Oh, yes. And let's talk more about this movie as we get into some role play.
Is that your bathing suit? Is that your overbite?
Now, one of you will be the drowning victim, and the other one gets to be our lifesaver.
I'll be the victim. All your life.
All right. The Other Hell. As Goblin progs it up, a nun, Sister Christina, is lost in a labyrinth of skulls and bones. She comes across Sister Asunta. That name is so strange. I kind of love it, though.
I love her so much.
Yeah, I wish she was in the movie longer. She comes across Sister Asunta in a secret laboratory embalming a dead nun. The first place to start is by ridding her of evil, aka removing her entire reproductive system. Sister Asunta also tells the story of a different nun who was pregnant with the devil's baby, but it was aborted. Or was it?
Dun, dun, dun.
Apparently, there's still an evil presence in the convent, and the former Mother Superior, Sister Florence, haunts it, calling out the name of the nun who killed her. Sister Asunta suddenly becomes mad and kills Sister Christina with joy on her face before dying herself. Then the current Mother Superior, Sister Vincenza, claims it to be an awful accident. Sure, Jan.
Right. This was one of those times where, particularly also because everyone's dressed the same, I was like having a hard time knowing who was who in this first part.
Oh, yeah, totally understandable. Erica has really bad reading comprehension skills. It's one of the worst features of her brain because she's very
Right.
smart, but she has trouble keeping track of characters sometimes in books, and that translates to her watching movies. So when she doesn't have very distinct markers to tell people apart, she has a really hard time with it. And when we saw this in the theater, she was like, what? Who's who? What? They're all nuns. They all look the same.
Oh, look, the exact. No one has hair, as far as I know.
Yep.
And so I was very, very disappointed when I realized that Sister Asunta was no longer with us.
An investigator from the Vatican, Father Inardo, arrives and hears out Sister Rosaria's theory that the devil is there, surrounding them. The devil no longer lives in hell. He is in heaven, and they must worship him. I love that little freak out that she has. It's so unsettling.
Yes.
The Bible on the father's desk catches fire, spitting out pages with the parable of the man possessed, after which all of his light fixtures explode. And by the way, that's real fire and real light fixtures exploding. I felt like they were trying to kill this actor. We briefly see a glimpse of a girl asleep with a cat in a room filled with hanging mannequin parts. We have no idea what this means yet. Don't worry, we will.
This is the second movie I've seen recently with like dolls and mannequin parts just hanging from the ceiling from kind of this time period too. So I don't know what was happening.
As the nuns take communion from Father Inardo, Sister Rosaria bleeds from the mouth before running out to ask for help from the gardener Boris, played by Wish.com Anthony Hopkins. She is taken to a room where she begins to exhibit signs of stigmata, and they then find her brutally murdered.
I love the imagery of taking communion and then just blood coming out of her mouth. That's so good.
It's great. It's so much more effective than her like projectile vomiting or something, because that's what you expect in a situation like that. And instead it's just like she looks so disturbed and then you see the blood coming out and you're like, oh, something's wrong here.
From her lion tongue. Or her truthful tongue.
Yeah, truthful tongue. Mm-hmm. Father Valerio, a forward-thinking, psychology-oriented priest, arrives at the convent to investigate and quickly discovers that there have been a slew of supernatural happenings. He constantly clashes with the dictatorial Sister Vincenza, sure that she is hiding a secret. After a brief run-in with a faceless nun, Father Inardo is set on fire a la Gabriel Byrne in Hereditary. Father Valerio finds a message on his tape recorder asking him to come to the chapel to take confession. The woman confesses her love for him, but she is afraid that he will refuse her, and warns him of another's hatred for him before a blade comes through from the other side of the booth, narrowly missing his face.
I was also confused because I was like, wait, have we met this person before? Am I supposed to know this person? The faceless person?
No,
I watched this twice and I was like, okay, I did not miss anything here.
I think there is a moment when we see her earlier as the nuns are taking communion. She's like up in the balcony holding her cat and she has the coverings on her face. But we don't know who she is or what that means. And like you can go back later and be like, oh, that's why Sister Rosaria had the...
Yes.
Father Valerio finds a severed, decaying head in the tabernacle. We never really find out whose that is. Sister Vincenza threatens Boris with death after he threatens to reveal her secret, and Valerio aggressively searches the convent. In the room of a supposedly catatonic nun, he discovers a bundle of hair hidden under a loose floor tile, causing the nun to wake up and attack him before collapsing.
Witchcraft.
It's unclear if she's dead or just unconscious and back to a catatonic state. We never revisit that. It doesn't really matter.
It's an accident.
Yeah. Bruno releases a pair of his dogs who kill the cat. And unfortunately, we get him holding up a literally skinned dead cat, which that got quite a reaction in the theater. And a girl with the lower half of her face covered seems to psychically compel one of his own dogs to kill him. Valerio finds drawings that seem to reference a harrowing event that occurred many years ago in the convent, and his recorder then shows him that event. Side note, this is like a reel-to-reel recorder that doesn't just do audio, it does video as well. And like, I want that thing. I did not know that anything like that existed until I saw this movie, and it's fucking awesome.
What I want is the power to control animals, make them my friends, and have them do my bidding.
Oh, so that's what you would do with psychic abilities.
I think that's what I would do. I would like to talk to animals, and I would like to be able to, just communicate with them well, and then if I need to call on them for vengeance, they will be there to help me.
Okay, I like that. Also, I realized I never finished my thought earlier about what I would use my psychic abilities for. I think more than anything, if someone was saying something unkind to someone, I would just make them shut up. I don't want to hear people's thoughts. That would be a fucking nightmare.
God,
but if someone is saying something out loud that's super unkind, or if a driver is being too aggressive, something like that, I would just force them to shut the fuck up.
I love that. Yeah.
Okay. We are now watching what the recorder is showing Father Valerio, which is essentially a flashback.
Wild.
And honestly, this is a really cool way to do this, and feels very unique, especially for the time. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed it. So, in that flashback, the former Mother Superior, Sister Florence, attempts to kill Sister Vincenza's demon baby by submerging it in boiling water, from which it is rescued by its mother, before it then compels Sister Florence to choke herself to death.
Go, baby.
Like, holy shit, that's amazing. Back in the present, Vincenza begs Valerio not to take her, and he tells her that he doesn't believe the child to be anything but a girl with extraordinary psychic abilities. She's not inherently evil. But then, Sister Vincenza flips out, stabs him, and raves about how she allowed the devil to penetrate her in order to conceive her child. She's terrified that a man will take her daughter away. The girl, Elisa, arrives draped in white and confesses her love to Valerio, but says he can never see her face, which he ignores and lifts her veil, revealing her disfigurement. She reveals that her mother hates everyone and forced her to use her abilities to hurt and kill others, while also forcing her to live in mannequin world.
It's so bizarre.
It is,
Like,
but it makes for a good visual.
100%. My question is, where did they get all those parts?
From Shiver's department store after it shut down. Vincenza stabs Elisa in the back repeatedly, runs out of the room, and tells the other nuns that the child of Satan wants to kill them all. What a fucking bitch.
Seriously.
She runs down to her basement laboratory, followed by the slowly dying Elisa, who uses her abilities to reanimate the corpses that surround them. Vincenza is choked to death by Bruno, and Elisa tragically succumbs to her injuries. Later, another priest and nun discuss Father Valerio's madness, which has caused his inability to communicate, except through telekinesis. I love that he, absorbed it.
Right? I was going to say, they were just saying that like it was no thing, too. It's just, very much presented as, these are the facts, ma'am.
Yeah. And I love that during this scene, the priest even says there's a logical explanation for everything.
Yes.
Because as they voice their doubts about the supernatural, the lab essentially comes to life. Beakers start heating up. The ground shakes. He dismisses it as a small earthquake tremor, which, come on. But then one of the reanimated nuns bursts from her coffin and into the priest's arms. Beyond death, life continues. And that is the other hell, or on Rotten Tomatoes, Guardian of Hell, which is, that makes no sense as a title for this movie. I don't like it.
Because I'm pretty sure the Italian title is The Other
It's
Hell.
Literally The Other Hell, yeah. L'altro inferno.
Just making up stuff.
It's true. Well, Caitlin, what is your experience with this movie? And I already know the answer to this question, but share with our listeners.
So I had never seen this movie or heard about this movie, and May said, let's do Nunsploitation November, and I went, fuck yes! And this is one of the movies she threw out, and I went, I don't know her. But I'd like to. And I had a great time watching this. So
Excellent.
much fun.
Did you make Brian watch it with you?
I did not. He's works doubles sometime. He's two different jobs, and then he watches football on Sundays.
Are you ready for some football?
He is very ready for that football.
That's a joke for our Mystery Science Theater fans.
I thought it was just a joke because you did that, and it's pretty funny.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed this.
I enjoyed it a lot.
And I'm glad it turned out to be a nice selection for Nunsploitation Month.
And I get that first piece with Sister Assunta, what is it called? Aunt Margareting, where from Sleepaway Camp, where it's just so big, but for some reason just absolutely works within the context of the movie, and you're like, oh yeah,
yes. Starting a movie with a nun cutting off a dead nun's labia.
Yup.
Wow, what a way to come out of the gate. And I saw this in the theater a few months ago for Terror Tuesday. I think only one of us in my group of friends, and that's Maeve, who, of course, owns the movie on Blu-ray. Maeve was the only one of us who had ever seen it before. And so none of us really knew what we were in for. We just knew it was Nunsploitation. And yeah, that opening scene, everyone was just like, holy shit. And we had so much fun with this. And then watching it again, Maeve and I watched it together while I was writing my outline for this, and I enjoyed it even more. It's just and we'll talk about this more later, it feels kind of unique in the Nunsploitation genre. And I think that's part of why it's so enjoyable, because it's doing some different stuff. And is it, in essence, a greatest hits of Italian exploitation horror? Kinda. But I don't really have a problem with that, because it uses all of those elements very well. My one thing is, did we really need to see Bruno cut the head off a chicken and then a dead-skinned cat? No.
Do we ever need to see that?
No, we don't. Well, here's my question for here. Bruno Mattei and Claudio Fragasso are known both together and separately for making mostly bad, though highly entertaining films. What is it about this film that makes it stand out from the rest of their work? And I don't know if you've seen their other stuff. They did Rat's Night of Terror and Hell of the Living Dead, which is sometimes called Virus.
That sounds familiar, but I do not believe I've seen any of their other work.
I've seen several movies of theirs, both together and separately, and they always have like this really strange tone to them, and they just feel kind of ridiculous and often, unfortunately, pretty racist, especially Hell of the Living Dead. Oh my God. There were some parts of that movie where I was like, oh, I am so uncomfortable right now.
I saw that they made a couple of Westerns, and I was like, I don't think I would appreciate these in the slightest.
Yeah, I have not seen those.
No, thank you.
And if you want to watch Rat's Night of Terror with a little buffer, there is a riff tracks of it.
Ooh, aha.
So that might help. But yeah, I think they just hit a sweet spot here, and it's an outlier in their work and in the genre of nunsploitation. And I enjoy that we got this special, very entertaining for the right reasons film.
Oh, one of the moments where hot investigator priest is just like yelling, and it goes on just too long. I'm like, oh, wonderful. Excellent. It's just such a funny moment there. I just nailed it. Nailed the too long scream.
Yes. Perfect. It's the proto Darth Vader scream from episode 3.
Yeah.
Well, and speaking of pop culture, let's discuss the film's context in our next section, Faith and Chance.
I can't exist by myself because I'm afraid of myself. Because I'm the maker of my own evil. Goodness is only some kind of reflection upon evil. That's all it is.
All right, Caitlin, take it away.
Okay. So, as we said, this was directed by both Bruno Mattei and Claudio. I also just like to say the name Claudio. It's very, very nice.
Makes me think of Buddy the Elf going, Francisco.
I love that. Well, there's the Fragasso, and with the screenplay by Fragasso. So they started filming this in 1979 because there was comparisons with Argento's Inferno, but other than the name and the poster, fairly different.
Oh, they're completely different.
I was very surprised
I do not
to
think
read
there
this.
are any similarities between the two other than having Italian filmmakers.
Yeah, Italian filmmakers. They both have the words Inferno in it, and there's a skull on the poster. Ta-da!
Yep. Yeah, that's about it.
I was very surprised to read that. I was like, people thought that? Weird. Yeah. But the real big thing with this was, like, it was filmed simultaneously. One was being shot by Mattei and the other one by Fragasso in the same building using the same actors at the same time. So it was this movie and then the true story of the Nun of Monza, which is also the story that this movie is based off of. And then my mind just broke in the circle. It was just like, this is too much. The layers. I'm in Inception. I can't figure it out. Someone explain it to me. I'm here to explain it to you. No, they're just filming at the same time, same actors, different movies for the price of one.
And totally different tones, too, right?
Different tones. And Fragasso said that he liked the other Hell better because he felt like the true story, the Nun of Monza, was like Carrie. But I thought this one was like Carrie. So I feel like whoever wrote that down in Wikipedia may have gotten confused. I don't know because I haven't seen the other one. So that's my fault. I should have found that one. Been like, show me the differences. Because it's blowing
Maybe
my
we'll cover
mind.
that eventually. I'm guessing that movie's not as good as this one because I had never heard of it until I read the Wikipedia on this movie.
What I do like about this is that, the studio was stoked. It was like 5 weeks. They completed 2 films, cost of 1 film.
Yeah, that's kind of unbeatable and really impressive from a filmmaking standpoint, even for like low budget Italian horror.
Yeah, this just like simul directing, simul shooting,
Simul film.
simul filming. And as I had said, these are both based off of the true story of the Nun of Monza. And this is weird shit.
Yeah, please tell me about this, because I did not look into it beyond that.
I had a moment where it's like, wait, was there a Nun of Monza? Or are they lying to me that there was a true story? There is a true story. So to give a little context to the true story first, I got some information off of the University of Michigan library blogs in an article by Vicky J. Kondelik. And this is talking about nuns at the time. And it says that the amount of enclosure changed over the years, and especially after the Council of Trent, the Catholic Church's response to the Protestant Reformation, which ended in 1563. Nuns were increasingly forced to stay strictly within their convents, and even visitors from the outside world were discouraged. Before the Council of Trent, there were nuns who were allowed to leave their convents, but afterwards this was no longer the case. So then, of course, I was like, well, what was the Council of Trent? I know there's like, Vatican councils, and it's a lot. Again, Catholic Church ruled Europe for a very long time, and of course, colonialism, so other places and more. Actually, I'll get to that in a minute. In a very, everything was run by the church way. So Council of Trent was from 1545 to 47. This is part of the Counter-Reformation or Catholic Reformation. This, thank you, Encyclopedia Britannica, moi. Because it had a summary, and I was just like, yes, thank you so much for this summary. So from this, in Roman Catholicism, efforts, and this is very important too, in the 16th and early 17th century to oppose the Protestant Reformation and reform the Catholic Church. And a bunch of the reforms, though, also had to do with the worldliness and corruption of the papacy and clergy during the Renaissance. So we have Paul III from... Everyone also has the same names, which drives me nuts. So we have Paul III, who was the first pope to respond, and he convened the Council of Trent. So they basically wanted to just like reform the training for the priesthood and get themselves separate, like Protestants. Blech. I'm sure that's how it went.
We talked about that a little last week on our episode on the devils.
Because they were living together, and a lot of times it was like, no, very separate. So one of the things that was set up was the Roman Inquisition to control heresy within Catholic territories. We have the Jesuits, who undertook educational and missionary work aimed at conversion or reconversion. Lots of issues there, especially in Canada, involving Indigenous people. So, then we also have emperors. There's military action against Protestants. And then you have like popes and saints. I kind of left part of this in of people who are big reformers of the church, because one of them was Teresa of Avila. She's just interesting to me because I wrote a paper on her once. It was because she purported to speak to God and was kind of a reformer of the church. However, she was sanctified, and you had this other woman kind of at the same time in Spain who was saying that she was speaking to God and kind of wanted to teach reforms, but she was part of the Inquisition and like put into... and tortured and put into prison, and like ends up getting pregnant, and was like, it was divine, and just a whole lot of stuff. And because she wasn't a saint or a nun, how Catholicism reacted to feminism and different kinds of women within the structure, and who gets tortured and who doesn't. Woohoo!
Ooh, fun.
So, with all this in mind, picture it. Lombardy, North Italy, 1575. convents are a dumping ground for the noble families of Europe because everyone's having a bunch of kids. Because Catholics don't believe in birth control.
Yeah, or apparently just not fucking.
That as well.
Which is so funny to me because the Catholic Church is so much about sexual repression, which, ties into nunsploitation films a lot. And yet, Catholics have so many babies. What's up with that?
What's up with that? It's a lot of fucking. So the thing was, and this is also going to become important just throughout this month, I will say, this convents as a dumping ground for noble families. So because you had to pay a dowry to the person your daughters were marrying, you could be bankrupted if you were marrying off all of your daughters. So what families would do is they would send their daughters to convents. Basically forced monasticism.
Oh boy.
So this is how we get a lot of nuns who have no interest in spirituality or serving God or anything like that. Just get a bunch of women around with, no oversight. And what's going to happen? They're going to start practicing witchcraft. It's just going to end lesbianism. It is just going to happen. I was watching this wild YouTube film about a specific Italian convent that was run by a woman who would initiate them by forcing sexually. I was like, oh my God. Wow. This is what corruption are we talking about here? So the thing was that you still also had to pay the convents to take your daughters, but you paid them a lot less. And then you also are seen as pious because, oh, look, my child is going to go serve God. Ooh. So this brings us to Sister Virginia Maria, who took the veil at the age of 13 in 1588.
Seems a bit early to marry God.
Or anyone, even though that happened a lot back then when you're 13. 14. Yep, just a little early. So, born in 1575, age 13. So, we're in 1588 here. She ends up seeing this guy, minor noble Giovanni Paolo Ossio, who apparently had been previously accused of a murder. Someone else. They end up starting an affair, which was really, really hard to do. They had a priest that was basically covering for them. They had a blacksmith that was making locks because the sisters may have been sleeping in cells.
Oh.
Yeah. I watched a YouTube video on this, but that YouTube video ended up having a lot of wrong information in it when I started to look at other sources. So I was potentially sleeping in cells. It's there's just, they'd be sleeping in tiny little spaces anyway. If they were just regular nuns, I'm assuming no one had grand. That was reserved for priests.
Right.
So they're reading the punishment if they had gotten caught. Well, they did get caught, but the punishment for getting caught was for him execution for her being walled up in the convent and left there to die.
Oh,
yeah.
Fun. Gonna cask of Amontillado that bitch.
If anyone, goddamn, you're the torture device. So it's wow, for religious reasons.
Yep.
So, they were fucking. So guess what? She gets pregnant. Actually, twice, but the first baby was a miscarriage. This is also why Catholics were having a lot of sex. Miscarriage. Second baby keeps. And, someone who actually cared noticed. Most of the nuns did. A lot of the nuns did not. And we're also covering because they're whatever. Good for you, I guess, if you can make it out of here or what have you. So There was a nun who shows up who actually did care, and she ends up dying.
Of course.
After maybe like following them or just monitoring their movements. And let's see, what did I read? During the course of the relationship, there was a series of suspicious deaths in the convent, including that of the lay nun Caterina Cassini de Mera, Sister Benedetta Homari, and the pharmacist Renario Roccino. That's 3 people. That's a lot of accidents, y'all.
Yeah. Accidents.
So they end up getting caught, as I previously said. He's arrested first because it was too many. It was too many deaths. They send in a priest who was a reformer who wanted to get to the bottom of this. So he's arrested. Osio's arrested first. He was condemned to quartering, but then went to a friend's. By friend, I mean a high-ranking noble palace, and then gets killed there in the basement. Who knows? For reasons. Some of them might be try to keep this as quiet as possible. We don't even want a public execution. Just sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
She ends up kind of in this internal imprisonment, so she is basically locked in a cell solitarily for 60 years.
Jesus fucking Christ.
And that is the true story of the Nun of Monza that this is based on. So,
okay. Yeah, I'm really curious to watch that film and see how they diverge, because I don't know if that one is a horror film.
Also the contemporariness of the other hell versus
the period aspect
yes.
of the true story of the Nun of Monza. Interesting.
My assumption. And the way these also connect within, I think, Italian history is talking about the Council of Trent and one of the Catholic Reformations in 1962, just mere years before this movie was conceived and filmed. We had the Second Vatican Council. This I had to look. The 21st Ecumenical, which is a movement towards unity or cooperation among the Christian churches. Council of the Roman Catholic Church, announced by Pope John the 23rd. And it symbolized, it's basically the church coming forward and going, hey, stuff is changing. This is a more modern world. We want to make some updates. This is kind of got a bit famous when The Passion of the Christ came out because Mel Gibson was raised in a Catholic family that rejects the Second Vatican Council. There are Catholics that do not believe in it, and that is actually dogma.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So we have kind of at the 2 different times this reform going on in the 1500s, where the story of the Nun of Monza is taking place, and then in the 1960s. And the church just becoming not controlling everyone's lives, as we've talked about, where then abortion, birth control, divorce started to get legalized. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting piece that ties these both together. It's this reform mindset, very different time periods, but all talking about very similar pieces, and how they are all born out of a lot of also controversy, illegalities, let's say, things like that. And as we're talking about the connections between those and then the simultaneous styles of shooting, as we said, that Mattei and Fragasso ended up doing many movies like this, that prison movies, westerns, again, as I said, of which I do not appreciate the titles, and I do not think I appreciate the movies. And I don't know, Hot Priests. What is the first movie? This is what question we should have. What is the first movie with a super hot priest? Because I do feel like the Stigmata.
Oh, Gabriel Byrne.
We talked a little bit. Yeah, Stigmata is the hot reform priest.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike Coulter in Evil.
Oh,
as
God.
Probably the hottest
priest.
The hottest.
Yeah.
I was at one point going to be like, ooh, one of our questions should be, who do you think is the hottest priest? And if it's not Mike Coulter, what is the matter with you?
I am gonna. Isn't there a Bergman movie where Max von Sydow plays a priest? And like young Max von Sydow could get it. Absolutely could get it. So I'm gonna say probably something with him.
Yes.
Before we move on, this does not have an official Rotten Tomatoes rating, but the popcorn meter, which is fan ratings, has it at 11%, which is hilarious. And you have to remember, that's not like an 11 out of 100 grade. That means only 11% of the people who have contributed to that liked the movie at all and thought it was worth watching, which is hilarious. It's got a 4.7 out of 10 on IMDb and a 2.7 out of 5 or a 5.4 out of 10 on Letterboxd. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of those that people are currently in the process of reappraising. And I also get that it's not going to work for everybody. And speaking of things that don't work for everybody, let's make that money. And now we'll dig into the meat, the goo, the viscera, the womb, the genitals, all that good stuff in a section we call Enough is the Myth.
No. I've done enough.
Enough is a myth.
All right, you ready for some questions, Caitlin?
Yes.
As with much of the nunsploitation genre, this touches on sexual repression. Do you think that if nuns were allowed to fuck, Sister Vincenza wouldn't have fucked the devil?
Probably. Unless she was a monster fucker.
She might be. She might also just be inherently a horrible, evil woman.
Yes. Because who even knows if she wanted to be there? She'd be.
There's so many factors.
Obviously.
There's so many factors to it.
As I just said, there were so many people who did not want to be in convents. This was not the way of life they saw for themselves. They did not approach anyone. They were forced to be here. And then it's like, wait, what?
I think the sexual repression definitely was a contributing factor because it's not healthy. If you are a person who has sexual urges, being able to express them in a healthy, consensual way is paramount to your existence as a human being. And I say that as someone who has not had a sex drive for about 6 months now, which is very confusing and strange and new for me since I started being sexually active about 20 years ago. So very odd. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I still, as I use colloquially, take care of myself sometimes. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here and oversharing. What a fucking surprise. Okay, next question.
Or, so there's an Elia Kazan movie called Splendor in the Grass, and I watched it I may have talked about this before on here, but I watched it not really knowing what the movie was about. And it's basically about like sexual repression, ruining Warren Beatty and Natalie Wood's lives. And I think I have talked about this. I just still can't get over that movie because I was just like, let the kids fuck. What is happening? This is terrible. Like Natalie Wood's life is out of control right now.
Just because she doesn't fuck.
Yep.
Well,
it's so healthy. If, like you said, if you have that drive, take care of yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And others.
Yes, as long as they want you to. Mm-hmm. Okay, next question. Elisa is clearly not inherently evil, as Father Valerio posits, but she's forced to do wrong at her mother's whim. If she herself, even as the daughter of the devil, is not evil, what does that say about the devil?
Fallen angels, yos. I think that particularly in terms of Catholicism and controversies and reform is what is actually evil.
Right.
Who is actually making the evil? Is it the womb? Is it the devil? Is it the church?
Or is it the person making those decisions? And they even touch on that in the movie a little bit when Valerio, Edinardo, and I think the bishop or the cardinal, whatever his title is, are talking. And Valerio is talking in a very progressive way about believing that these things all come from within people. The evil that they used to call the devil is actually just the evil that lives within people. And I find that really interesting because in this movie, you literally have supernatural shit that happens. And it's unfortunate that we don't get to hear from Father Valerio at the end of the movie because he's, hospitalized and only able to communicate through telekinesis.
And right. Like, where is he? Also, the telekinesis versus psychic powers, where it's like, is he just throwing stuff? Is that how he's communicating? I don't know.
Okay. And my last question. Nunsploitation movies normally contain several hallmarks, particularly sex and nudity, often in a sapphic context.
Yeah, they do.
Despite there being no actual sex and no sapphic anything in this, does it still feel like a true nunsploitation film?
I think so, because it's so violent and weird and transgressive. It's very transgressive. I mean, just that opening scene alone. The stigmata, for those of us who have seen stigmata, that's supposed to happen to very holy people. So even the devil's daughter is using the stigmata as a sign. Like, what?
Yeah, like you said, it's very transgressive. They're still exploring a lot of the taboos that exist within the Catholic Church, and especially for nuns. And one of the worst things a nun can do, as far as I understand it, is get pregnant because they're supposed to be married to God. And the idea of a nun getting pregnant by copulating with the devil or a demon or some kind of evil entity is so sacrilegious. And I feel like, as genres go, nunsploitation does have some very specific markers. And I feel like this hits on enough of them that the ones that aren't there are not a detriment to it being a part of the genre. That was really wordy, but I think you understand what I mean.
Yes. I agree.
All right. Well, now it's time to play a game.
Hello. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game.
Do 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 do. What's our game today, Caitlin?
All right. So we're going to have a bit of a mix of questions today. We'll see what happens here, especially since I know you read the Wikipedia, so this is more of a memory recall. All right. Name one of the Goblin albums that the majority of the music was taken from.
It's something like The Fantastic Voyage of Mark or something like that, but in Italian.
Yes, that cracks me up. One of them's Roller, and then the other one, yes, Il Fantastico Viaggio del Barbaroso Mark. Like, Mark.
And I believe there's also pieces in it that are from Dawn of the Dead and Beyond the Darkness, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that last one.
My favorite part was, I think it was Claudio, who was, like, they were very fashionable, so we asked them to make us music, but they asked for a lot of money, so we just used what was available instead.
I think one of the things I like, though, is they use the music so well that it feels like it was made for the film. None of it seems out of place. None of it is distracting. It all just goes with the vibe. And I love that.
Yes. They utilize it really well, as you just said. Wait. Let me get the last word. Same. All right, next question. In Italian convents during the 16th and 17th century, up to what percentage of nuns were there by family coercion? And this is multiple choice.
Okay.
All right, so we have A, 30%, B, 50%, or C, 70%.
Before you told me it was multiple choice, I was going to guess 74%. So I'll go with C, 70%.
Ding, 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 ding. Up to 70% of nuns were there because their families didn't want to pay a dowry.
That's insane. God, just stop having children.
It is.
Oh, God. What is wrong with people?
Especially when you're noble, too, because, like, obviously, when you're poor and you have kids and then you're like, and off to work with you, that will happen. And so, yeah, for the noble people, it's just like, who isn't birth control actually available to?
Right.
Who isn't an abortion actually unavailable to? You know, it's, I think there's a reason also why noble people had less children than.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm just putting that out there as my own hypothesis right now. So, okay, and you will probably know this one. So, what home video distribution company released The Other Hell in the U.S.?
I believe that would be Severin.
Vestron.
Oh, it's Vestron.
Vestron!
Oh, okay. Sorry. The original version.
Oh, sorry, the original. Yes, I should have said.
Got it. Okay. That's so funny because I was going to guess Vestron and I was like,
that's
wait,
so funny.
They didn't release the newer Blu-ray. I'm pretty sure that was Severin. Okay,
Yes,
so Vestron.
yes.
Excellent. And if you want to hear more about Vestron video, check out our episode on The Void from a few weeks ago. Excellent. Well, do you have any final thoughts on this here movie?
I think for all of its parts being made inexpensively, so the acting just being gigantic, you said it still has some very interesting points it's making. I really do like a lot of the special effects work.
Oh, yeah.
That they did.
It's great.
They did such a good job of cheating the camera in a lot of ways and really making the most of what they had to work with, shooting 2 films for the price of one and taking all of that into account with the genre. I think it's very successful and I had a great time with it.
Excellent. Well, I'm so glad to hear that. And I think my only thing is poor Father Arnardo. I really think they were trying to kill that actor. You in danger, girl. What's going on here?
No. That is so terrifying to hear.
I know. But the fire on his desk, the exploding light fixtures, and it's got to be a stunt actor who gets lit on fire, but still terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
We don't light people on fire enough these days.
No, we really don't. Light on fire!
And on that note, let's wrap up with what awaits us next time.
Don't you see? He's got us now. Okay, this is exactly what he wants. We can't go to the police, not now. He's made sure of that. He's just out there and he's watching us and waiting. What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
Burn it down!
Let's burn this motherfucker down, Pookie! So that brings us to the end of our episode. Thanks so much for joining us on this journey, fellow travelers. If you like what you hear, please leave us a rating and review wherever you can, because it helps more people find the show and makes us all tingly inside.
And yes, so speaking of which, we have an email from our listener, Dan. And Dan writes, I'm a straight white Texan husband and dad with a heart for horror and the weird. And you'll probably understand that I have a limited social tolerance for my own kind just now. Overall, yes. For reasons. When I'm not swamped, I'm also a horror writer and a musician. I am typically swamped nowadays. I have too few outlets for horror talk, transgressive art, and general topics of misfittery. Thanks to yours and other podcasting voices, I've had a privilege of acquiring perspectives and analyses for these texts that wouldn't have occurred to me by default. Learning is fun. He said that, not me, but I'm also
true.
Agreeing. It's true.
We endorse learning on this podcast.
And seeking out viewpoints that you might not have thought of that are different from yours. It just makes also the world a cooler, more interesting place.
It's true.
All right. Back to Dan. Whether or not we react the same way to this or that movie, and this is to May specifically, you're one of those reliable barometer / touchstone / litmus testers of whether I'll even be interested in a film I've never heard of. Oh.
That is a big honor to hear, so thank you for that one.
Says, apologies. No need to apologize. Apologies to you both for barging in so strongly, seemingly out of nowhere, but I looked at your slate of episodes to date and I got super excited to send you a note of encouragement. Rock on. Don't change a thing, from a grateful and eager listener. Thank you so much, Dan. Like, thank you. It was so lovely to get that email, and we agree.
We are pretty great.
We are pretty great. I absolutely agree with that. Again, more about the seeking out other viewpoints.
Well, if you want to send us a really nice email or even constructively critical email, just don't be mean to us, okay? We're very sensitive little flowers.
And
you can email us
that way.
You can email us at pleaserspunisherspodcast@gmail.com. And you can find us on Instagram at pleasersandpunishers and on Blue Sky at pleaserspunishers. You can find me on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Everson Poe. You can find my music on Ampwall, Bandcamp, and streaming services as Everson Poe, 2 separate words. And as of this weekend, because we were recording this 2 days after Halloween, my test pressings for my records finally fucking shipped. So hopefully by the time you're hearing this episode, pre-orders for the vinyl will be up and active.
I'm so excited.
If they're not, I apologize, but keep an eye out for that. And you can also hear me podcasting on Tender Subject and Slayerfest 98. Caitlin, where can you be found on the internet?
I can be found at Caitlin of the North on Blue Sky and Instagram, and Cat of the North on Letterboxd.
And next week's episode will be on Paul Verhoeven's nunsploitation extravaganza, Benedetta. Yes! Also based on a true story. We are just nuns. All the nuns. All nuns. But until next week, do some aftercare, clean your toys, set healthy boundaries, and...
Do you intend to investigate this?